All right, we'd like to welcome everyone this evening to Mapleton City Council meeting on Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. We'll begin with an invocation by Councilman Garrett and led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Beck.
Our kind Father in heaven, we bow before you this evening. We're thankful for the many blessings we enjoy and for the gospel. We're grateful for the safety and security that we have in this community and for the opportunity and privilege it is to live here. We're thankful for the wonderful people that we get to rub shoulders with, and we pray for them, each one of our citizens. We pray that thou will bless them, especially those who are struggling through trials and other health issues. We pray that thou will comfort and bless them. Help us to deliberate this evening on the agenda items and be able to work together to a consensus that will bring the best outcome for this city. We're grateful, Father, for the first responders that protect us in this public safety of our city, and we pray for them, each of them, with safety and prosperity in their lives. We're grateful for these things, and we say these in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. It's not that often that we get this much excitement here. We're excited. We want to thank all of you for coming, family and friends, to support your family members and friends in this great accomplishment of the Fire Academy and the other two awards that we have that we're going to present tonight. And with that, we'll bring Captain Ryan Smith up to start the presentation with Chief Glasgow, and looks like Captain Millett.
Well, Mr. Mayor, esteemed council, and citizens in attendance, we appreciate your opportunity to share these chambers with you this evening to recognize quite an accomplishment of 5 individuals through our 2024 Fire Academy. These 5 undertook about 120 hours in the year of 2024, starting in January and ending around October through the time they were done with their testing. So through classroom instruction, listening to my voice, death by PowerPoint, and mostly didactic and then physical training out on the training grounds. With 120 hours, they accomplished a lot. So what they accomplished was through the state of Utah Fire Rescue Academy, their Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2, their hazmat awareness and hazmat operations certifications. Those go a long way, and they do tremendous things for us at the fire department, where they help our members who came to us with a single EMS certification. They're now cross-trained, so it increases our responsiveness throughout our community and our ability to help in multiple facets. So we'd like to call these 5 individuals up and have them recognized in front of you this evening. So if Cody Anderson, Christopher Clark, Riley Bowers, Brendan Fulkerson, and Max Ghana. If you'll come up, please, grab your helmet and stand. So this recognition in front of you tonight is the presentation of their leather shield. So when they come to us with their single cert EMS, they express a desire to enter an academy. We vet them pretty well before we put them through academy. And when they do, they get a bear helmet. So the helmets in front of you now have a leather helmet shield, and that signifies the tremendous amount of work these folks have put into obtaining their certifications. It's a recognition on behalf of the fire department of that great achievement. So we congratulate all 5 of you.
If you guys want to go sit down, we can meet out there in just a minute with your families and take some pictures. Congratulations for all of you. Thanks, Ryan, for all your hard work with the Academy. Tim Howard, if we could have you come up here. So during December, we have our Christmas party, and we give out our annual awards. and Tim was too busy to come to the Christmas party. So he's full-time at South Jordan Fire Department, and he was on duty, and he couldn't make it. So the way we do our awards for our end-of-year stuff is through nomination of the peers. So I'm going to read to you some of the nominations that were given. Tim is getting the 2024 Life Saving Award. On Sunday, August 14th, 2024, at 20 hours, Mapleton Fire Units responded to the intersection of Left Fork and Right Fork in Hobble Creek for a reported motor vehicle collision. Engine 101 arrived to find a single vehicle into a tree with major driver's side damage and passenger entrapment. Further assessment revealed the need for multiple resources, including the heavy rescue response from Provo Fire Rescue. After a triage was completed, it was determined that the young female driver of the vehicle was the most critical. The vehicle had come to rest on a single tree, making stabilization practices challenging. Recognizing the immediate medical needs of this patient, paramedic Tim Howard entered the passenger side of the vehicle to provide care before vehicle stabilization and extrication efforts commenced. His patient presented with diminished level of consciousness due to the intrusion into the vehicle and a rather difficult position to address airway concerns. Tim's level of poise, professionalism, and overall empathy are second to none. Tim treated every life threat, administered medication with calculated precision, and calmly reassured this young girl throughout a 1 hour long extrication time. Due to the tremendous damage, every effort to remove this patient from the vehicle created increased pain and anxiety. Tim addressed these concerns appropriately and cared for his patient, not as a stranger, but as if she was his closest family member. Due to Tim's selfless care of this young woman, the young woman's recovery process was enhanced. Tim is an unwavering member of this fire department and a fantastic paramedic and a great asset to Mapleton Fire Rescue. So this year we award Tim Howard the 2024 Life Saving Award. Congratulations.
Tim.
John Higgins, if you could come up. So the highest award that we give on the fire department happens to be the Fire Chief's Award for Leadership and Superior Performance. It's given to one individual each year. John was also too busy to come to the Christmas party because he was on an around-the-world cruise, and he had a lot of fun. So we're happy to recognize John. A few of the nominations that John got, he was nominated for the award by two members. One said, "Higgins is just Higgins. What a great example for all of us. And he does so many things that all add up to making a big difference." Another one said, "Johnny has been a catalyst at Mapleton, always willing to provide crucial coverage when needed most. Johnny has a great work ethic and is a joy to be around. Johnny helps lighten the load daily and is always up to the task. A great role model and mentor to our younger staff. Johnny brings years of EMS and life experience to the table." That's a nice way of them saying you're old. As the fire chief, I could not agree more. John Higgins has volunteered for over 30 years with Mapleton Fire and EMS departments. He is a selfless servant leader who has dedicated much of his life to the citizens of Mapleton. John has served many years as a single-function advanced EMT on the ambulance, and being well into his 60s, decided that he wanted to become a firefighter, and he did it. When John went to the academy, he passed his firefighter 1, his firefighter 2. He got his apparatus driver operator certifications, and he added firefighter to his long list of accomplishments. After serving an 18-month overseas church mission, John immediately picked up where he left off and got back to work at Mapleton Fire. John is always working shifts, filling in the gaps, covering holidays, and all of those openings that we cannot fill. Off duty, he listens to his radio, and he is always willing to come out and help if he is able. When he is on duty, John teaches new employees, he mentors, he leads, and he leads the ambulance crew. John is always helping with office tasks and special projects. John is always looking for work he can help with. He is a self-starter. He is self-motivated. John sees projects through to completion and is always somebody we can depend on to get the job done. John is a talented engineer, firefighter, AEMT, and we honor John and his lifetime of service to Mapleton with this award. Congratulations, John.
Let me just say something before you go. I just wanted to say something. It's not often we get a lot of our fire and EMS people together at a city council meeting, but when we do, it's always rewarding for us from a city staff standpoint and council, and we're super grateful for all that they do. I'll tell you, 7 years ago in a week, I stepped into this position, and I promise you, what we had was nothing near what you see today. What you see today is absolutely outstanding. And we have cities all around us, big cities, lots of budget, lots of money, asking over the last 7 years, how do you guys do this? How do you guys pull this off? How do you guys have an outstanding service? You guys do outstanding work. You guys do. And although I was accused of all sorts of crazy things when this went down, and then we made some big changes and made some steps in the right direction, that somehow I was accused that Nick Glasgow was my long-lost brother or something. I don't know. I was hiring him because somehow we were born from the same mother or something some time ago. I don't know. And so, you know, it goes without saying, but leadership is extremely important. And when it comes to fire and safety and EMS, it's critical. And Nick's done a great job of finding Ryan and Jeremy and putting the team together. And you can see this is just a portion of the team that they have, and every single one of them. You look at these young people up here getting these awards and spending 120 hours each on top of their jobs, on top of everything else. And then you hear the stories. That's one story about Tim rescuing a daughter, you know, someone's daughter, essentially, and someone's wife or someone's child, someone's grandchild. And it's not till you're the one that makes the phone call that you don't think how important, you know, it is you have these individuals and these kind of people. I'm extremely grateful. I did not know that it would be so rewarding for me to be in this position, to get to witness the incredible acts that are done from this group of people. It's humbling. It's awesome. I'm extremely grateful because I've got young kids that are getting driver's license and doing that kind of thing, and I would want no one else to show up except for the team that we have here, because it's the best shot they're going to get. And I get to be the recipient of the stories that happen, and this is one life-saving story you heard this evening. We could go on and on for quite some time about the stories right here in our own city that have happened, saving people's life, bringing people back to life. And they've come and told us from their own mouths here in the council, and it's super rewarding for us. Extremely grateful for these people, their willingness to serve and take it seriously. And because when I came in here, that's not the way that it was. I mean, I'm sure they were doing the best that they could with what they were given, but we have the absolute best equipment, from fire apparatuses to life-saving equipment in those apparatuses, and we've given these people, I believe, what they need to get the job done. And no matter if you got the best equipment, I've said it before, if you don't have the right people, the equipment's worthless. And somehow we got lucky, and I don't think it just happens. It happens from leadership, from Chief Jackson to Chief Glasgow to your whole team, and Ryan and Jeremy and your guys'. They're just not willing to settle, and I'm super grateful for that. They just keep pushing and wanting more and coming to us and asking for more, and I would rather have that than someone being complacent. You can't have complacency in this part of the city. And so thank you guys very much for all the work that you do on behalf of the council and the city, and we appreciate your efforts, and we're here to support you 100%. And thank you all the family for coming. If you would like to go to the foyer to have pictures, you're welcome to. If you want to sit through what's about to happen here, you're welcome to. We invite you to. You may not want to, but you do whatever you'd like. I'll never forget the first time I met him. I was a kid, he walked into the city. I'm like, who is this clown? He goes, "What's our fire?" And I'm like, yeah, man, he sits down after 3 minutes of talking. I'm like, this is not gonna work. It was a joke. Front row's open. What's that? There's no one here. Sean, there's nothing on the public forum, I assume, because no one's here. And I didn't see him write anything.
I saw Francis, he's got 5 items.
All right. Let's see. Let's move on with our consent agenda items. Items 1 through 7, we'll look for a motion from someone with a second.
I just had a quick question to clarify. Logan, for the initial construction phase, it wasn't very clear what construction would actually be done. There's a lot of design, design mentions and construction documents. I don't know if you know kind of what part of this phase would have construction.
Yeah, I mean, we don't completely know until we've designed it, but a lot of it is going to be the infrastructure. So the sprinklers, the electrical system, the bathroom, the gazebo, the connections around the park. So really kind of just laying the foundation for the next phase. So a lot of it is more infrastructure driven.
And that's all included in this bid?
That's our hope. Yeah,
Okay.
that was the
That's
way
what they're
that
gonna design.
Yeah, that was how it was written, was to try to essentially value engineer up to that amount
Okay.
to get the most that we can for that dollar amount.
Okay, great, thanks. I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
We have a motion by Councilman Beck and a second by Councilmember Jones.
Carlson, yes.
Egbert, yes.
Beck, yes.
Jones, yes.
Garrett, yes.
Great. Our item 8 has been extended to the next meeting, so that's been removed. We'll move on with item number 9. We'll start with our public hearing items. The first one is consideration of an ordinance adopting Mapleton City Code, Section 3.24, to establish, impose, and levy a RAP tax in accordance with the Utah Code annotated 5912-1401. Mr. Logan.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. So this is our next step in RAP tax. As part of state code, we need to amend the city code to include the RAP tax as part of it. One note to make in the ordinance itself, there was a typo on 3.24. It says 3.24.3. It needs to be 3.24.03. And then it also says P tax, and that is supposed to read RAP tax. So I don't know if anybody else picked up on that, but it was afterwards that it was that I had caught that. So we'll make that adjustment. But other than that, this will, officially get it as ordinance. Starting April 1st is when funds are set to be collected. And so you'll see tomorrow that we'll have the RAP tax page updated with kind of next steps for our committee, and when applications are open. And so if there's not any other questions, we can go to public hearing, or I can answer any.
Just to clarify, that page will be part of the Parks and Rec page?
Yep.
I have somebody that's inquired about
Yes.
applying, so,
Yep, if you go to Parks and Rec, and then on the left nav, it'll say RAP tax info, I believe.
great.
Or RAP tax, I don't remember exactly.
I would imagine you'll put something out on social and
Yep,
so forth.
yep, it'll be, it was in the newsletter last month, it'll go in again this month, it'll be on social media, website.
And when will those applications close?
So they will open on February 3rd, and they will close on March 5th.
Oh, for the month then, they'll run,
Yep, they're 30 days. Yep,
thank you.
Then, so then in 2 years, that would be reopened, right, for additional
yeah,
applicants?
yep,
to
so the
replace?
initial, and in the RAP tax guidelines, it talks about, just so that we can make sure we have not everybody leaving at the same time. So two of the members are 2-year terms, and then the other 3 are 3-year terms. So in 2 years, yes, it would open back up.
Will that be the month of January, do you think, or I guess we'll just kind of wait and see?
Yeah, it'll follow a pretty similar timeline,
Okay.
yeah. And then our applications will open up in October, and they'll be open from October till the end of the year. And then the committee will meet at the beginning of the year, similar timeline of when we do our budgets, to then have it ready for preparation, and so they can get back to you guys for approval in the budget process. So,
Any other questions for Logan? This is a public hearing item. We'll open it for public comment. Seeing that there are none, we will close the public hearing portion and look for motion.
I make a motion to adopt the ordinance, I make a motion to adopt the ordinance Mapleton Code Section 3.24 to establish, impose, and levy a RAP tax in accordance with Utah Code annotated 59-12-1401.
I'll second.
A motion by Councilmember Jones, a second by Councilmember Egbert.
Egbert, yes.
Beck, yes.
Jones, yes.
Garrett, yes.
Carlson, yes.
Great. We'll move to item number 10, consideration of a resolution amending the fiscal year 2024 to 2025 budget. Mr. Euler.
Thank you, Mayor. We've discussed with the Wage and Personnel Committee and the Budget Committee these amendments that were proposed, and wanted to go over just a highlight of some of them tonight. The budget is taking into consideration the partial salaries for 3 new positions. The police officer position would pay yearly somewhere between 54 and 89. That's a yearly payroll, but the budget is only amending for $40,000 in the police department budget because we were not going to have that individual the full year, so we're just budgeting for the partial salary for that position. And then the Parks Department is requesting a technician, and similar situation, we're not budgeting for that full $44,000. And then the Administration Department is requesting a human resources position, and that will range widely depending on how we structure that position, whether that's a entry position or a higher level position. And then we are not budgeting for the fire position, as that has already been budgeted for in the current budget. But when we discussed that in our prior meeting, when that was originally proposed, we wanted to come back to council for the approval for hiring that position. So it's not a need to increase the budget, but it is just a need to seek approval for moving forward with that hire. Do you have any questions on the staffing before we move on?
Just a question on staffing relative to human resources person. How many full-time employees do we have?
We're over 60.
Over 60.
61.
Wow, I wouldn't have guessed that high. Okay, so there's a need.
61 full-time benefited employees, and then a couple hundred part-time, and we go through the part-time positions, or those keep us busy on the HR side of hiring and having the seasonal aspect of that, so it's a little busier with the part-time.
With the item of additional funding for building inspection, is that not to hire someone, but to hire or to use a service?
Correct. We have 2 building inspectors now, and we have a third-party consultant. And just with primarily how quickly Edge is building, our budget's just being exceeded what we expected. So that's what that would be for, to help cover that.
Okay, we also performed a salary study. Each year we update the salary study, and this year, as we've updated that study, the results showed that the market in our surrounding area has increased by 2.76%, which is a nice normalization, getting us back to pre-COVID. And the federal COLA was 2.5%, so we're proposing a increase to the market, a market increase of 2.5%. And then the last topic that we want to discuss with the budget amendment is the capital projects that are being amended in this budget. The Public Works Department is proposing projects be the design and construction of these projects at 800 North, 300 West, and East Maple. Design would increase by $180,000, and then the construction that would be completed this year is being estimated about $500,000, and that $500,000 would be paid for with BNC Road fund reserves that we have there. We went into a lot more detail at the retreat discussing those projects, those are the following through with those discussions. And then a $700,000 increase to pavement maintenance and stormwater master plans would budget $140,000 increase to that. Any questions regarding the budget amendment?
No questions?
Bryce, if I may, just on one, even if you don't have the question. So the budget didn't increase the 140,000. I had failed to include that in this year's budget. So the 140 was what I was expecting it to cost. That's what we had gotten approved. I had just failed to include that in the initial budget.
All right.
It's not really an increase, although it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's
An
an
increase
increase.
to the
It's
budget,
saying,
but-
can I use our stormwater funds to pay for that? Because I forgot to include that in the initial budget, yeah.
All right, this being a public hearing item, we'll open it for public comment. Seeing there's none, we will close the public hearing portion and open it back to council for questions or motion.
Make a mo-
I just have a quick comment regarding the HR position, because this is really our new foray into having a people and culture type position, and there's going to be a lot to create. I would recommend it not being an entry-level position. And so I'm much more supportive of the mid-level range on that, just for the sake of conversation.
Good. That's great
Your
feedback.
comment?
To add to that, too, one of the things we're planning on doing is getting with a couple of adjacent cities and talking to their HR department and find out their successes and have them give us any suggestions before we move forward as well, so.
I make a motion to approve the amended fiscal year budget 2024-2025.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Jones and a second by Councilman Garrett.
Beck, yes.
Jones, yes.
Garrett, yes.
Carlson, yes.
Egbert, yes.
All right, thanks, Bryce. Item number 12 is notice is hereby given by Mapleton City under the Utah Municipal Code, Television and Public Communications.
Mayor? We maybe
About 11.
skipped 11, yeah.
Oh. That's why Bryce is still standing there. I'm
do
like,
we-
why are you still standing there? You can sit down.
Mayor just wants to get out of the meeting early.
So item number 11 is consideration of an ordinance setting the compensation of statutory officers. Mr. Bryce.
Thank you, Mayor. The state recently passed a code that if we are to increase statutory officer salaries, a public hearing should be held. So as we just had our our budget item, which increases the market rate by 2.5%, we are going to comply with that code and have the public hearing for the statutory officers. You can see the statutory officers that will receive a rate increase are on that table. And I will turn the time over to you.
Any questions from the packet? Clear. All right, I'll look for a motion. This being also a public hearing item, we will open it for public comment. Seeing there are none, we'll close the public hearing portion.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance setting the compensation of statutory officers.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jones, a second by Councilman Beck.
Jones, yes.
Garrett, yes.
Carlson, yes.
Egbert, yes.
Beck, yes.
All right, now we're on to number 12. Thank you, Bryce. Notice is hereby given by Mapleton City under the Utah Municipal Cable Television and Public Telecommunication Act, Title 10, Chapter 18 of the Utah Code, making amendments to the August 16, 2023 feasibility study. Public hearings are called on January 15, 2025 and February 2nd, 2025. Mr. Phil.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Bringing this to the council, it is required that we update our feasibility study. And we have updated it with our number of households, which has been included in the packet for the feasibility study. We're just bringing it here for your approval. I don't have any other information besides what's in that packet, unless anybody has any questions.
I just had a question, why we have to have 2 public hearings?
By state code, that's the way it's set up, is they require 2 public hearings, and so tonight you don't make a motion, just allowing for public comment, and we'll come back on February the 2nd, allow for public comment again, and then you can make a motion from there. And the motion would be just to, proposal of the updated study.
I have
So
just a
that
few.
mainly just to allow for public comment.
Can we make comments or questions?
Yes.
Additional
Yep.
questions?
Yep.
Great. Thanks for doing this feasibility study, or the feasibility update. It appears to me that the bottom line is costs are going up, which nobody likes to see that, but the reality is it's because we have more potential customers who would likely use our fiber internet service. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I'd say that it's actually a good thing, although unplanned from the beginning of the project. So the initial plan was based on the number that we knew at the time, without projecting what the numbers would be now when we're 3 years into the project. So yes, the costs have gone up because the number of households that we're supporting have gone up, and the number of areas and roads that we've had to do construction on have increased. But which you've stated also is, it also will increase the revenues later.
Great, thank you. When we first started this process, around the time that I was first elected to council, I think the process had already started to some degree. One of my concerns was that I wouldn't want to, I was concerned that a bond that would commit every resident in Mapleton to pay for something, whether they use the product or not. That was a concern to me, so I'm very grateful that we have a bond that allows those users to pay for the bond. So if I don't want to use Mapleton Internet, I'm not on the hook for it. Unless, of course, nobody uses Mapleton Internet, which would be a gross mismanagement on our part. But I believe that we weighed out those pros and cons and the risk of that.
Phone a friend.
I think I got
You need
it.
a lifeline
I
for
think
that?
I got it. Not sure how that works.
So I think it's important as we talk about this feasibility update, and perhaps Mayor Hakes or Corey can speak to this regarding the bonds that we have in place, and speak to where we're at with that bond. We've started making those payments. Where are we at with that? What does that forecast look like? I am interested to know, I know that take rate is kind of a moving target of sorts because we have so many people in queue that want internet. Can you give us just an update of where we're at with this project? I believe we've been very thoughtful in making the decision to take this on. And I, for one, am very pleased that we have. I'm very proud of those efforts that we have taken on. I think it will, be a long-term benefit for the city in the long term and in the short term. And Jessica finally got internet.
Does it work good?
2.35 up and down.
Is it satisfactory to your needs?
It is. It is satisfactory to my needs.
She's probably
And
one of
our
the hardest
staff-
people in the city to please, so Phil?
The staff was awesome as well.
Really?
Yeah, yep,
That's
consistently.
because they knew it was Jessica's house. No, they
I
didn't
don't
know.
think they actually had a clue. I didn't advertise anything.
Well, I told them,
I have no power,
guys, do this one extra special.
I'm scheduled for this Friday if you need to add anything. there
Are you
as well.
really?
Yeah,
This Friday, what
Friday.
time? Do you know,
noon.
Phil? Let's make sure that goes as smooth as
Yeah,
it
we're
did
on
for
it.
Jessica.
They've been phenomenal in the follow-up for me as well. But can someone, Bryce,
Yes.
Mayor,
Well, we got our director
for
right
those
Yeah, I
here.
can-
questions? Can you
I can
speak to
answer
that
it.
as well?
Yeah, I can answer
I
that.
apologize. I know you were not at those initial tables 3 years ago negotiating those terms, so I apologize for not including
No,
you
that's
in
okay,
that
no
list.
problem. So obviously at the beginning of the project, there's a lot of unknowns, but based on, you know, forecasts and looking at other cities and other projects going on, it was obviously a very good decision by the city to do it. And even though COVID hit when it did and costs went up, we're still looking very good in what our costs are compared for the whole project to be completed and what we're going to be making in revenues as we bring more and more people on. It's a really exciting time right now because we're starting to see the numbers that we have kind of projected for new areas coming on to come to be to what we have projected. So we're in the new areas with new subdivisions that we go in fresh, we're getting a solid 60% take rate. And that's with zero advertising. That's
In new neighborhoods.
new neighborhoods, yeah. Existing neighborhoods is somewhere around 30, but we don't have the full numbers yet because we're still working on this backlog queue, right? So we're still working on this, trying to get through this queue as we go throughout this year, as this project completes. Then we'll really have a better idea. But really, the best data we have right now is looking in those new neighborhoods where they don't have existing service to see what kind of response we get and the take rates that we get from the people there.
Great.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, the queue is so big, and we think, oh, we're getting ahead, and then more people sign up, and it just stays constant, this queue that's of people waiting. And I had a meeting this week with a CPA that's in our city, and he lives in the city too. And one of the questions he asked me, he goes, I had a city question for you, now I can't remember. And he asked me, he said, well, when can I get internet? Is it available yet? And I'm like, yeah, it's been available at your place for 10 months or a year. Well, how would I know? I don't even know that. I'm like, do you read the newsletter? I'm offended because you don't read the newsletter, you know? No, but he said he did, but he just didn't know. And I think that we have a lot of people like that, but we can't go advertise to all those people and bring all those people in because we don't want to under-deliver, right? So we're going to wait till the queue's full, and then we'll start putting the feelers out. And if we got to knock doors, we'll knock doors. The fact of the matter is, the service is night and day. There's no comparison. It's 100 times better than what's available out there. There's nothing like it. You guys can all testify to that because now you have it. And they just don't have another option, and the price is great. The price is right in line. Everything about it's great. The install's great. The people are great. The staff's great. I mean, our staff does an excellent job. And so all of our ratings are super high, from install to service to everything. So it's a great product. We'll eventually get there. Spanish Fork didn't start at 88% take rate. When they started, it was a lower take rate. It took years to get there because they just proved out that they were better than everybody else. Now they're sitting at 90%, 89% take rate. And that's where we'll end up. I'm confident of that, but it'll just take some time. And, you know, as the newer subdivision come on, which is doubling the size of our units, we started at 3,300, we're at 5,500. I mean, we started at 60% of the total units that we got to build out, and double the amount of building permits in 2024 we've ever had, and we'll probably have that again in 2025, and maybe in 2026 as well. That might go on for a few years. And so we're doubling the size of the city, so it's a process, right? And so if it was a business investment, you do it 100 times over every time. It's that good. And so thanks, council, for your support, and we did a lot of brainstorming, we did a lot of talking to Spanish Fork and figuring it out, and gathered all the things they missed on their end and wish they'd have done, and we implemented it, and gratefully we did, and here we are.
Yeah, and it looks like, based on your numbers, we are more than covering the bond cost.
Yeah, we're projecting to,
Yeah.
yes, cover that.
That's great.
A few things just to add to that too. Currently, we have approximately 1,209 homes connected. And that's with, as the mayor mentioned, minimal marketing. And that's pretty impressive. And the nice thing that I'm seeing is I'm not getting calls from those who are connected complaining. I'm getting positive feedback from them like this, just as you mentioned tonight. And so that's rewarding. That's what I'm hoping to hear. And so kudos to the team there in their efforts of making sure when someone gets connected, it's a great experience for them. And to go along with your comments, Councilmember Jones, in the staff report is that financial analysis. And that's obviously a public record, so you can see where the bond came in. The first bond we had was at 9.3, and the second bond at 9.4, and then also some general fund help with which we're proposing to be at 6 million. Keeping in mind, all that will get paid back through those who are connected. You asked the question of when is that first payment? The first one comes due here in July. That's for that first bond. And it'll show that annual cost that'll be required. But to your question, yeah, it's going to be covered by being able to get these connections made.
Great. So we'll just keep doing great things with your team and offering great service, and I think it shows that it's great value because of the existing residents who are choosing to change, and I think that number will continue to go up. So thank you very much.
Do we have an idea when the queue will be low enough so that we will have to start advertising?
I don't.
We're bringing on new subdivisions as fast as we're bringing on the new
So-
fiber, like Jessica's neighborhood and those. So
It's kind of a moving target,
Yeah.
I guess, which is a good problem.
we think that,
But-
we think we're gonna get ahead at this point, but then people that we, gave it to or had access to it 6-8 months ago, all of a sudden start calling, right? Out of the blue. And so I don't know if it's neighbors talking or communicating what it is, but the fact is
Nobody's
once we.
crying over the full top of funnel on this one.
What's that?
No one's crying over a full top of funnel on that.
Right. So once we start to see the queue slow down, then we'll put some marketing efforts together. And like I've teased these guys, I'm like, you put some pamphlets in your hands and go start knocking doors. We have a map that shows red or green. You're connected or you're not.
Right.
And we'll go to the red ones and we'll knock the door and say, why aren't you using this? Well, I didn't know about it. I don't want to change my passwords. I don't want to do the billing, blah, blah, blah. And you just do it right there on the spot. Because you got your team and we do. One of the things that Spanish Fork told us years ago, and I will not forget this, is they said, the way that we stepped ahead of everyone was one way, and that was our customer service. People would call and we'd install the same day. They would call, we'd install the same day. So that's what we're trying to get to, because once you get there, forget it. People are like, they start talking to their neighbors and be like, you don't have to wait 2 weeks, or you don't have to try and change all their stuff. They'll come right now and they'll do it right now. You call at 9 in the morning, we're there by 1 p.m. That's what we got to get to, and then we just capture them all. So.
And I think
get
it's important to say that it's not like we're not advertising. If there's a person in the citizenry that doesn't know that they can currently hook up, merely look at the newsletter or look at the front page of our website, it says hook up now. I mean, there's clues that the public
Well,
can see.
and every new area gets a door hanger
Yeah.
out of the gate, right? At least one touch point.
One thing to point out, and I know that there's some unknown variables at the beginning, but I think it's also pretty impressive that the target completion date was only pushed back 3 months. And considering all the developments and how fast those have come on board, I think it's impressive that, that we're going to meet that.
Yeah, I mean,
change in a few months.
Coming in when I did, it's also pretty impressive. I mean, obviously, it speeds up and slows down in different parts of the project, but we're almost there. It's great.
Yeah, kudos to one of our employees in the fiber. Her name's Sheila. She's much better than her other half. Sharp, she's great with the people, and we're lucky to have her. She's awesome.
You got a great team. They all get what we're trying to accomplish, and I don't have anxiety calling when I have an issue. The one time I've had an issue and they were out like that. Yeah, they do great. We do have a few road things we need to follow up on in my neighborhood, but that's a topic for another meeting or another conversation. So thank you, Phil.
Good job. Any other questions for Phil? All right, this being a public hearing item, we'll open it for public comment. Looks like we might have one.
Francis Gibson, 208 South, 680 West, just here at the city. I commend you guys for making the decision to do this. This is a big investment, and no one likes to spend money, and sometimes looking into the future, not everyone has that same foresight. You're sitting in a building now because my ass got kicked for making a vote to do this, along with other city council members who thought the old building was good. Could you imagine running a city this size, something out of that now? It takes a lot of courage. I appreciate what you say about having a bond that only people who use it pay for it. There are sometimes decisions that have to be made that that's not the case. So I really commend you for doing that. And the organic growth that's going to happen it will catch on fire, right? A lot of people have had this. If you're a fisherman, you take a fishing pole and you do what with it?
Cast it.
Cast it. There may be a company out there that's with a Comcast. And when people switch over, it's a big difference in what they use. And so thank you for having the courage to make those decisions. There'll be other hard decisions that come. We're growing, the secret's out, we'd like to keep it small, but unfortunately, that's not where we're at today in property rights. People have a right to sell their farms, and they want to sell it to the developer to put homes. So those things are going to happen, and with that comes services that have to happen as well. So I commend you about that. Much to your disbelief, we don't have pillow talk at night talking about the cable system here in Mapleton. That's not something I want to talk about, but I do have someone who's very, very good at dealing with people, and she's dealt with me, so it's 32 years of 32 years of customer service practice. But I just want to say thank you, and for courage to make hard decisions. And when you're in a growth pattern, it is, and we are in a growth pattern in the city and all of South Utah County for that matter, but specifically here. And I appreciate your service, so thanks for doing that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Francis. All right, seeing there are no more public comment, we'll close the public hearing portion. Look for a motion.
You said this is not a
No,
motion?
we don't make
No
motions.
motion on
No
this.
motion.
Fine, we don't need the motion. All right, we'll move to item number 13. Consideration of a resolution authorizing a loan of $2 million from the Capital Project Fund 45 in our CIP fund reserve to the Capital Project Fund 46, Mapleton City Network. Mr. Phil.
Thanks, Mayor. So just a quick, brief history. When the first feasibility study came through, the number of units was 2,800. And then in April of 2021, it was updated to cover 3,344. That's when, after the first bond was given. As we've continued to grow, we've talked about earlier in this meeting, we've updated our feasibility study. We have more homes that we're trying to cover. It was then updated to 4,200 units. And since then, we've just now updated again to estimated 5,500. So as we grow, we, like we talked about, we have more costs when it comes to more roads and more areas to bring more customers in. But as we get into those areas early, we are getting very high take rates, which is really helping out. So it's a very good decision by the council to approve that decision before my time. And so yeah, at this time, we're seeking another $2 million to bring that total to $6 million that we're borrowing from the general fund. And just a few items on the loan would be a 20-year loan, 3.75%, and repayment will start on July 1, 2028.
Yes, this is also a public hearing item. We'll open it for public comment. Logan, you want to say something? No? You good? All right, seeing there are none, we'll close the public hearing portion. Back to the council. Questions, comments?
Do we perceive, now, we don't have a super accurate magic 8-ball right now with economics, but do we perceive that this is going to cap off the project other than brand new builds coming?
Yeah, so this proposal was to cap off the original project. So basically covering the extra funds we've had to spend to go into the new areas that weren't planned for. This is to cover the original project area. So this is what we projected.
Are those new areas, Harmony Ridge? I don't know what other
That's one of the
areas.
areas that has required this money, right, as a new development area that wasn't planned previously.
As part of the increase in units.
Yep.
Which,
And the timing, because it's a lot
in a
quicker
year,
than planned on.
yeah, in a year, if we do another 450 building permits, then it takes it from 5,500 to 6,000 just in a year. So the growth is so fast, and we obviously didn't anticipate that rapid a growth. When COVID and all that happened, you think, oh, things are gonna slow down, and it didn't, it doubled. So what will eventually will happen is when the take rates get up there and we get enough connections, then the revenue will pay for the growth as we go. Okay. And then we won't have to continue to, and it'll also pay the bond, it'll pay back the city, and we could pay that back to the capital project faster if we want. It's just the council's gonna have to make that decision when the time comes, if they wanna pay it back faster or not.
Yeah, and the new areas, because of the city code, putting in the infrastructure, makes the growth cheaper to get into with the new.
When the largest developments
That's a good point.
largest developments that could happen are being covered under this amount in the initial project costs. And so in the future, if more developments come on board, they're not going to be as large, and so
Right.
they'll just be paid from the revenue, is what you're saying.
Well, I'll make a motion, but just to be clear, this is an internal loan from one fund to another. This is not a new bank loan, it's not a new bond, it's an internal loan. Right. And I will make a motion to authorize a loan of $2 million from the Capital Projects Fund 45 to the Capital Project Fund 46.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jones, a second by Councilmember Egbert.
I think it's me. Garrett, yes.
Carlson, yes.
Egbert, yes.
Beck, yes.
Jones, yes.
Great. Phil, thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Yep, full steam ahead.
Please, thank you. It literally is like starting a new business, and what's critical about a business is providing excellent service so people want to use the service. And clearly, we're doing that. So you're doing that, so thank you.
Isn't it Edge Homes that has it ultimately? I mean, that's their only choice?
Yeah, and then there's 1,000.
Which isn't nice, which is, I mean,
That's
that's
1,000, that's 1,000 connections, and they have a time frame. The contract that we did with them has a time frame in which they have to start paying for all 1,000, even if they're not connected.
Yeah.
And so there's,
That point ought to be made too.
if you think about it, that's 1,000 connections of the 5,500 guaranteed that don't exist today, right? So it's incredible. Yeah, it's great. Luckily, they worked with us, and we were able to get that done. All right, let's go to administrative reports. Chief, you want to start us off?
Short, it'll be quick. Thanks for your kind words with the fire department tonight. That's pretty neat what they're doing and the people we have there. A couple things from their end is we're about halfway through the year where we've agreed to cover Hobble Creek Canyon, and the numbers are coming in a little bit higher than we anticipated. A few more calls than we anticipated, a little bit more ambulance revenue than we anticipated. So I just want to give you that really brief half-year update on taking that expanded area. Chief Glasgow applied for a $5,000 EMS grant that was awarded. He can use that for whatever he wants, equipment-wise, and he hasn't decided what he wants to use that for yet, so just give you that update. Mayor kind of jogged my memory here, made me think of something I want to bring up. When you were talking to the fire department, you mentioned equipment, and I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the equipment that we've replaced on the police department side to make sure they're up to date. Bulletproof vests are a lot like fire turnouts. They kind of they expire, but they're still good. But ours have expired, so just last week, new ones came in, so all the officers have a new vest that has not expired. When we signed our agreement about 3 years ago, I don't know if you remember, with LensLock, our body cam company, part of that agreement is they had to upgrade cameras every 2 years, and so we just got new body cams. And that didn't cost anything. That was just part of the initial agreement. So the new body cams are here, and they're using those. And then in 2024, we used some funds to upgrade their sidearms and their rifles in their cars. So the mayor's 100% right when he says the equipment up here, and that's known through the county. I've had that comment made by a couple departments that the equipment up here is good. I appreciate you guys supporting that because I think that's essential that we provide to those guys out there to have up-to-date equipment and good stuff. So I just wanted to, you made me think of that, and I just wanted to share that. So thanks.
Thanks, Chief, appreciate it. All right, Logan, you want to go next?
Yeah, just a couple things. First one is just Burn Bright is on Friday. It's everybody's new favorite event. So 5 to 7.
Dancing.
What's that?
Only if you're dancing again.
Yeah, you're dancing.
Logan's sleeping out in that tree lately, but.
Yeah, I was gonna do like a round off back tuck to land to light the fire or something.
I believe it.
You know, Cosmo can do backflips with barbells. That's what I can do. So, but no, it's 5 to 7. We're excited. We've had a lot of really good traction actually on social media. The event has been shared and has been reached to a lot of people. So it's really exciting that in year 2 we're already seeing a lot of good things come from it. And the fun part about it is it's a fire, but there's also really good purpose behind it, and people can hopefully look to better themselves. And I think what better way to do it than with your community around you and friends and family. So invite you out to that one. We started the construction on the Parks maintenance shop. They started last week, so they're just kind of in the initial phase right now of clearing and grubbing the site, and then they'll start doing footings and foundations and utilities. So we're on track as of right now. The weather is great for construction, not great for our water, but as long as weather holds, we'll stay about the 1st of July is when it's anticipated to be complete. So, and then we'll also, we're starting our next steps on the community center topic. So we will be sending out the RFQ tomorrow to prospective firms to help with the concept plans. So we just wanted to make sure and just, you know, talk through on what that means and just make sure we're on the same page of, you know, we're not committing to anything on, this is just that part of that process where they'll help actually put some visuals together based on the feedback that we received. And then from there, bring it back to the council for discussion, and then, you know, next steps from there on getting some more additional public input. And so we'll update with you, or update that as we go. We anticipate to bring that back for council approval on a contract probably in March is our time frame. So are there any questions on that next step with it?
To what extent does that align with the city park update? We've talked a little bit about, is there any feature or asset that might move, especially like outdoors? We've talked about amphitheater, skate park, or anything. Will those kind of move forward together?
Yeah, like within the community center design specifically? Yeah, so how it's being laid out is, you know, if you remember back to the facilities master plan, we had identified needs, and that was just the general purpose needs of, you know, office space, programming for our seniors, the library, like it just identified those specifics. So that's kind of the baseline of what the concept would be. And then from there, then we would have 2 additional concepts that would include more of those other,
Okay.
hey, this is what you said you wanted.
Mid,
Okay,
high.
here's the next tier, and here's what that looks like. And then here's the next tier, and here's what that looks like. And each progression will have more of those amenities that, you know, would be included in it. So, and, you know, and obviously we will provide those surveys to the architect of, you know, here's those responses, but we'll also lean on them for their professional expertise on making sure that we're using and getting the best, you know, space and just making sure that it fits within it. So does that answer your question?
And we spent a lot of time this last week in staff just discussing that to make sure that we address those things.
There's, from the survey, obviously, there's lots of different variations of how it could look and costs and everything. What instruction will be given to, I mean, I know the RFQ still needs to happen, but have we talked about what instruction will be given and what concept to choose to design, or?
No, really, our instruction is here's the baseline, here's option 1, here's option 2, here's option 3. Please help us design based on the feedback that we've been given. And then from there, have a more constructive conversation with you as a council. And then, you know, based on that direction, then, you know, we see going out to get more additional input now that there's an actual image attached to it so that we can help, you know, paint the picture for them and have constructive conversation and not just, well, it could be this and it could be this. Now there's a tangible, something they could interact with and say, you know, that we really wanted the library to be bigger. Okay, well, you know, what exactly did we miss in that, you know?
Through the
different
base.
designs, sounds like.
Go ahead, Case.
Oh, 3 different designs is what they'll be.
Yeah.
The baseline one is we're gonna take the facilities master plan to identify the minimum amount of square footage we need for a library and a senior center and Parks and Rec. So, well, that'll be the baseline. We're gonna show them, hey, this is what the facilities master plan showed. And then to Logan's point, we'll have option 2 and an option 3 that would then address those other topics.
It's something, the process won't be exactly like the, oh dear, I'm ahead of myself. We did a meeting over here in the multipurpose room a number of years ago for
The general plan?
General plan, yes. There's some ebb and flow to it. It's not A, B, or C. It's very, we massage it over time, like you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously, again, just making sure that obviously each one of those tiers, there's different funding that is required for those. And so that's where that collaboration with the community to make sure we're very transparent on, you know, if that's truly what you wanted, then here's what that cost would be associated with it. So, yeah, similar process, but yeah, maybe, you know, so.
This
Okay.
part of the, would be just, again, having them come on board to help design the concept.
Okay, and then two more quick ones. Another exciting one, our hockey will be starting this month. We had over 180 kids sign up for hockey, which exceeded all expectations that I had for it. It is awesome. It is so cool. We had our free clinic last Saturday, and if you remember, we partnered with the Utah Hockey Club. They provided all the equipment and the goalie gear and all of our sides and all that stuff. They came and did our clinic, and we had the same amount of kids in the clinic as we do in our league, and the folks from Utah Hockey Club said it was by far the largest that they've had in the state so far, which who knew that we loved hockey around here, but hey, we'll take it. So it's really cool. It's really neat. I'm grateful that our staff, was looking into the future of what that could be. So it's really exciting to
Where are we gonna host those?
They'll be played at Hobble Creek Elementary. So. And then lastly, we started a new software for our registration. We've had a couple hiccups. It's actually the same software that Springville City uses. And so there's been some duplicate accounts because it's the same parent company. So we've been working through those. We've just been trying to encourage people to just make sure if they're seeing something to call us. But we're really excited about what the future of that software is. It has a lot more capabilities to help make sure that it grows with us. And will help streamline some processes and Pioneer Days and some of the other events that we do. So just wanted to make you aware of that. That's all I got.
Awesome. Great work. Thanks, Logan. All right, Bryce, you got something for us?
Just a quick item. Since we were discussing this tonight, I just wanted to make you aware that with our bonding requires continued disclosures. Every year we have to complete some continued disclosures with our bonding agency. So Zions Bank works with us in completing those continued disclosures, and we have looked at projections, and with the projections of even the loan that you guys approved tonight, it looks good as long as our projections can be where they're at. So just know and understand that even Zions Bank is looking at our projections and at our continued disclosures with the bonds, but also with our new funds that we've appropriated to that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Bryce. Phil, do you have anything additional? Okay, Sean.
Just quickly, final permit activity. We've talked about the growth that we've experienced. So the highest number of new homes we ever did was 2020. That was 292. Last year was about 274. It's been in that 270s range the last few years. 2024 was 538. So you can see just how quickly we spiked. A lot of that is because we've had townhome and condo developments that have been approved for a number of years in Sunrise Ranch, Mapleton Village, and Harmony Ridge that now are building. And so those obviously add the numbers quickly. Total building permits, so that's additions, everything else plus the new homes was almost 700, 665. So you can see why that need for additional inspection time was needed. One other interesting bump we've seen is business licenses. This is primarily home occupations, but prior to 2022, we were seeing 10 to 15 a year. Last year, there was about 44. This year, or in 2024, we had 73. So a lot of people working from home. I think this just emphasizes again the need and the smart decision to go with fiber. There's just so many more people working from home, and we're seeing that growth in our numbers
John,
too.
I'm curious on that note. Are you seeing these home businesses like the consultant that's working from home versus the doTERRA salesperson? I mean, can you give us just a sense of what these?
It's really broad. It's
Is it
everything.
really?
Mhm.
Everything?
It's accountants, it's attorneys, it's
Really?
a lot of people doing their small salon or a daycare or, so
Really?
it's pretty
Okay.
broad. Mhm. I've got a full copy for you if you want them, so that's all I have.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. All right, Mr. Rob.
I've got three quick things. There's the Public Works Yard request for qualifications was due today. We'll be looking through those. And then the Transportation Master Plan update is due tomorrow. And so just making the whole council aware, and Reed, I'll get with you to see how much you'd like to participate. It would be good to get your input as we're going through those two, both the design plans for the Public Works Yard and the Transportation Master Plan is a big one. Also wanted to get with you, council, tonight. I've got a proposal here. We're scheduled to meet with, well, I don't know if we have it on the schedule yet. I know we were talking about a second retreat next month, or possibly just doing an early closed session. I don't know if we've decided. Work session? Yeah. To go over the next 3 years plan of what I'm proposing to do for pavement preservation. But we have the opportunity, and if we act immediately, to work with Spanish Fork and Springville to get on a joint microseal project. Microseal is a higher level surface treatment. It would be above, I would say, well, it's different than an HA5, but it's one of those that's similar in terms of it's intended to be a surface treatment that lasts at least 7 years, maybe up to 10 years. And so while we're on the schedule to do a greater one, I just wanted to see if you're curious as to what I'm proposing. What I would propose is just make sure the council is okay before then. I'd like to work with, be a part of that, and basically I need to get over the streets that we'd like to do immediately. This is good for, mostly for collector roads, where HA5, just because of the volumes and the speeds are it's not quite the right fit. It's about $4 a square yard. What I'm proposing to do is a little over 100 square yards, and so we're looking at about $400,000 worth. But doing it at a joint project with Springville and Spanish Fork, who do pretty large amounts every year, we should get a good price. So we're expecting somewhere in the $4 per square yard range, and would be a good fit for these roads that are on the schedule. Have been on the schedule to get this type of, higher surface treatment. So.
Rob, doing that with the adjoining cities, does that mean we have to do our roads when they do their roads? Does that dictate some of the schedule?
So they're putting together the specs right now, but what what we've talked about potentially including is if there is they won't be able to work here during our 24 celebrations and stuff, and so we can specify a schedule that's specific to you can only do our roads during this time. So they're putting together something tonight, and I'll have the opportunity to do red lines and say, okay, this is what we need.
And they just merge in everybody's constraints.
So maybe they can work on Springville while they can't work here, and vice versa. So. Yep.
What are
local company?
Do
they come in from out of state, or?
Geneva does it. Yeah. They're the ones that have gotten it with both Springville and Spanish, and there's a second company who also does it. They're the main two that bid in Utah. There are other places that do it, but they're the ones that are basically always on the bid. Sometimes you'll get somebody else, but usually it's those two. This type of treatment.
Is it a better product for less? It's just the schedule and the urgency of response has changed?
Sorry, say that again.
Better product for less than we would have otherwise planned?
It's the right, what I would say is it's the right fix. So I've talked with HA5. They had been doing some of these roads previously, but it's just not the right fit it's similar. It's a little bit more expensive than HA5, which is kind of our higher level surface treatment for local roads. I'll have to look back. I think last year we were in the $3.25 per square yard range. This is $4 a square foot range. So it's kind of that same, like a little bit above the range, but it's also for those roads where even talking with HA5, they're saying, hey, this really isn't appropriate for your collector roads.
So does it change the longevity then because it's a better product?
It'll be about you expect about the same. So on a local road that has lower volume and lower speeds, you expect 7 years is kind of the target. It can last longer than that for HA5. It's kind of the same thing with the microsurface or microseal. It's called different things, but it's about that same range. But it's the product that, based off of the condition of our roads right now and them being collector roads, that's what I would say. It's the right solution for these roads.
So Rob,
we shouldn't do this.
No, there's really not. I'm just, I'm supposed to, yeah. I guess the reason why I'm bringing it up now is because I'm supposed to do an overall presentation and I'm planning for a presentation, but but they're going forward right now, and so if, I'd like to jump on board right
So-
now for this
So
particular.
Rob, I guess the thing for the council though, you have the budget for it.
I do.
You're just, the question is, do you want to continue to use the HA5 or the previous maintenance type project? Are you okay if we move forward and use this, micro seal roads that our adjacent cities are going to do this
Yeah,
year?
well, and I would even say HA5 is not, I mean, talking with the HA5 guys, HA5 should not be used on on these collector roads. They're telling me, they have a different project that is more expensive than this. I'd like to try, this is what local cities are using in these conditions. I'd like to try this first before moving on to a
You
more
are the
expensive.
engineer, so I would be supportive of.
Can we put Slant
at a
Road at the
cheaper
top
price.
of the schedule, Rob?
I'm sorry?
Would you like to start at Slant Road?
I mean, I can write that in if we need to.
You got internet first.
It's
so
available,
let's
it's available
just-
this week.
Yeah, they won't be able to, they're not moving that fast. It'll be getting on people's schedules so they can schedule this summer, yeah.
I do want to ask a question about Slant Road. Slant Road is pretty uneven. It's got a lot of
Yep.
patchwork. If this is on the schedule for being a seal treatment and extending the life 7 years, I'm assuming that a grind and recap on that asphalt is not scheduled for at least 7 years. Is that true?
So what we would do is we would go and we would do some, in the spots that we need to do some pre-work, we'd get that done. We would, so that's where we'd schedule it for later in the summer, and then we'd go and get some other stuff done
Some
beforehand.
asphalt work done first, okay.
So this is, and I'm comparing it to, like I said, to HA5 because it's kind of the same, or the same pattern, except, and I am including a couple of cul-de-sacs that are right off of 1600 North. They're a little bit, they're more cracked. But both Springville and Spanish have been able to use this and had good success. And since we're right there doing 1600 North, that's where I'm proposing to say, okay, let's try this here. The other, basically the alternative treatment to that would be a mill and fill, which is multiple times more expensive. So again, I'm like, well, let's see. They've had success. Let me try this before we do a much more expensive treatment.
But tonight's just basically
Right now I'm just saying the reason why I'm bringing it up tonight is because I'm kind of jumping ahead and saying, okay, I'm supposed to bring in my overall plan, but I need to move forward right now if we're going to jump on with Springville. I mean, this is the right treatment. This is the right treatment for these roads. So, okay, thank you. That's it.
See if it's better.
Yep.
How's your snow removal budget?
A lot better this year than in the last couple of years, for sure. We're doing a lot better. They have gone out, not nearly as much as the last couple of years.
So much that we can loan to the fiber project, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, Rob. Reed?
Well, the transfer station's working very well. We do have a few financial challenges coming up. The landfill has got to increase their rates, probably we anticipate probably in July, so we'll have to increase ours that much as well. Also, there's some discussion about what to do with the rooftop fee, whether we continue with it or pass it on to a tonnage. And also, we have some bonding challenges as well that we need to increase a little bit of the, up from, we're like 1.2 right now. We're supposed to be at 1.25. So we'll see how those pass out, but we'll definitely have a price increase coming in July. I don't know what it'll be yet.
Are we to $40 a ton yet, or is it 30?
We're at 40 right now.
40 right now?
Yeah, we're at 40 right now.
And we're 10 for residential single
We're at
truck.
10.
right?
We're looking at maybe increasing some other rates too, but it's definitely going to have the tonnage go up.
$10, I meant, not 10 a ton.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, it hasn't been open that long, but has anybody seen any changes in numbers as far as out of area people coming to use it because of the facility's advanced technologies, or has there been any trends or things that have changed since moving to this new facility?
The trends, they actually have, now when people come in, they actually scan their license plates, so they kind of know where they're coming from when they ask them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say, well, I'm from Spanish Fork or whatever like that, and they're from somewhere else, so.
Cheaper rate.
They're starting to catch more of those, so that has definitely been a help in that regard as well. But they've also opened it up to the commercial tonnage to come in earlier than they can come in. It's like 6 o'clock, so they can go by, and they've been doing that. So we have been increasing some tonnage by that way as well. But we'll just see how things continue to go, but we have getting more tonnage. We seem to have more household waste coming in, more tires, more all this other stuff that takes time, and it's required some more employees to handle the extra volume there. But another one of our challenges is one of the state bills, which I think the Waste Management and Republic kind of pushed, and that is that cities can designate where their residential trash goes, but they cannot designate where the, I guess, single resident homes, those with multiple residents, they can't say where it goes, and a lot of Provo's goes to another, it doesn't even come to Provo, to our transfer station where it should be, which we'd have more tonnage anyway. They've looked at trying to change that, but it's probably going to be very difficult to change that state law. I don't know if you understand that or not, but it doesn't affect us too much, but right now, Spanish Fork is probably going to overtake Provo in tonnage because of it. Would you believe that?
Where's Provo taking it then?
Well, it's not Provo. Provo's bringing everything they can here. It's their independence. Basically, everything in Provo, Center Street North goes somewhere else.
Spanish Salem. Reed, did we liquidate the property where the old station was?
It was liquidated. We signed on it, and
did we close?
It's closed. It was closed about a month ago.
Oh, good. Okay.
All that property that we had now is all closed on, and we have funds in hand.
Okay, great. All right. Thanks for the update. Good job.
I don't know if we want to talk about what we're going to do in the spring or not for cleanup, but that might be a topic that we can talk about later on.
I was actually going to bring that up.
With the increase in price or whatever?
Well, I guess what are we going to do as a city? How should we, do you still want to have us come in? I know there's been probably some discussion on what to do with spring cleanup.
Yeah, we made that decision, right?
We're already planning on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Reed. Jessica?
Oh, boy. Legislative session starts on the 21st, so.
You're looking forward to it?
I am. Corey and I had a good time this week texting during the Legislative Policy Committee meeting, and we'll have a league board meeting next week too up at the local officials on the Hill. Is anyone else going besides me? You're gonna be there? Okay, rad. Couple of things to watch for, or a whole lot of things related to what we do. Well, a fluoride ban is on. There's over 1,000 bill files open already, but we don't fluoridate, so I don't think that's an issue for us. Cannabis production is going to be up there. I don't think that's a huge issue.
Just a little bit.
Oh, yes, thank you. Non-functional turf is coming back. I think hopefully we'll see some incentives there. If you saw the governor's push on his priorities, it was interesting, a lot more on the infrastructure and expediting infrastructure processes to reduce the costs and the timelines. A little bit actually less on municipal-related housing things. Now, there's still a ton, but there was a really big push on the infrastructure. Affordable housing, there's been some people in the House are putting out interesting information about 30% of housing costs are related to inspection and zoning. And I saw someone post on LinkedIn this week that it was 60% of housing costs is because of your inspection and zoning. So there's going to be some continued heavy lobbying / propaganda coming to watch for that I think will be interesting. We're seeing that building inspection bill come back for builders to be able to hire their own inspectors. Parking, there's actually a parking garage and carport size that the state is looking at prescribing to cities. Smaller? It's like 10 by 20. Like
It was more like the state was, or the bill was proposing that there be a standard across the state, which is
they're saying it's to streamline designs and approvals.
Yeah.
But if you want to try and put your big Ford in it, good luck with that. Transportation utility fee is coming back. There's an anticipated legal battle potentially with that and a dominant nonprofit religion in the area about who is going to pay those fees. And a Big Fish doesn't necessarily want to pay them. So we'll kind of see what happens there.
For what fees?
Transportation utility fees, the road fee, you know, going back and forth between is it a fee or is it a tax? So that's coming back around. Emergency services tax, but it's at the county level, we'll see that. There's a bill about detached ADUs by right, so detached are gonna be big this year. Commission on Housing Affordability is pushing forward that public asset inventory with the state surplus land. I'm not necessarily concerned about that. We're not gonna have, it's not gonna impact a ton. Reducing parking requirements as a mandatory thing. There's gonna be a lot more about infrastructure. You're gonna see more about land use. And my very favorite from last year with Representative Ward is back, and it's even a better winner with 10 units per acre by right. Lots of 4,000 square feet for all cities within counties of first and second class, which we are subject to. Doesn't talk at all about infrastructure, affordability, or ownership. It basically says cities lose the ability to plan or zone for future commercial areas, and so that'll be interesting. There's decent policy that are good compromise about overlays that you can opt into as options, and there's a few things that I actually like and might really help some things, but there continues to be policies that are an overreach into our desire to keep government closest to the people, and so that's got my Razzie so far to see what happens, but it's going to move fast. So the 21st through March 7th.
Sounds good. All right, thanks, Jessica. Casey.
Yeah, just real quick with NYCC, they had their annual banquet last week to cap off a successful 2024. They have their new batch of youth in. They're up to 60 kids now for NYCC, and there's a few added events this year, so the increased numbers will be able to help with that. And then the next meeting, they'll be that's when they're here for their swearing in. So that's all I have.
Okay, great. Thanks, Casey. Leslie?
The only thing that I have, we had, at one of our last meetings, I mentioned the Chamber Council luncheon. They're considering the second week of March, Camille, is that right? So probably that Tuesday, that second Tuesday, or the Tuesday of the second week of March at noon. Let's see, what's the date? Jessica, do you have that up?
The second Tuesday is March 11th.
Yeah, so I just need some feedback on that date.
You said March?
March.
And it's lunchtime. I will block it out. I am currently available.
Okay, sounds like that would work. I'll report that to Melanie, and then we'll get back with you. Theron, is that fair for you?
Yeah.
Casey?
I'm wide open.
Reed, you good?
What's that?
March 11th, around noon,
That'll be
Springville?
fun post-session. There's a lot of Q&A to have fun with
Yeah.
on that one. Yeah.
I should have opened my computer, I think so.
And it's a lunching, not a breakfast, right?
Correct, it's a lunch hour, noon.
Okay.
No, that's all for me.
Okay,
Nope.
thanks, Leslie. All right, Theron?
Just a couple things. I also attended the LPC meeting remotely and getting my head spun on all the bills and crazy things going on up there. Yeah, and,
You're going though.
yeah.
We need the advocacy. So.
For sure. The spring cleanup. We, just a reminder, we decided last year that we would support and hold the spring cleanup in the spring, but not in the fall. So we did not hold one in the fall. However, we did kind of commit to providing dumpsters both in the spring and the fall. So we will kick off with Michelle Estes this week, hopefully a kickoff meeting to plan this spring's cleanup, which usually happens in mid-April-ish.
I would like to revisit, though, per our conversation at our work, at our retreat that we had last month, in light of the cost.
Yeah.
So is that
There's other options that I'm working on behind the scenes as far as reducing that cost and other options for sure. But
Yeah, because I'd like to see that. It's a
One
significant
thing we're
cost.
looking at too is maybe just allow the dumpsters on the day of the cleanup.
yeah, just not as many
Right.
days.
Yeah. Anything to
It's
get
a
that down.
great service and the citizens love it. I think we as leaders should provide that service on a regular basis, but maybe not the full week and at the cost. I think if the taxpayers knew the cost we were paying, it would be a little different story.
I see more flexibility with a voucher, but that can be a conversation at another time. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Great, thanks, Darren. Camille, did you have anything? All right, Corey?
This individual here
Yes.
had a couple of questions, Mayor. I don't know if you're all right.
Yeah, so if you don't have any other,
The only, if we can go into closed session after that.
Okay.
Imminent litigation, so.
okay, so before we go to closed session, we'll invite this individual up to come and ask your question or comment on the short-term rentals. That'd be great. If you'll state your name for the record. All right.
Hi there, Mayor and council members. I'm Jody Reynosa. I'm a resident here in Mapleton, but I'm also a local realtor. So thank you. This was unexpected, but I appreciate you taking the time. Number one, I have clients who are interested in short-term housing. I know that it's currently prohibited. However, I'm wondering, what's on the horizon for that. And then my second question is NACA. I don't know if you're all aware of that program. It used to only be in 40 states in the U.S. Now it's all 50. However, Utah apparently doesn't have a state chair yet. It's vacant. So I'm just wondering if anybody has anything on that as well. And it's basically to help subsidize home ownership and make it more accessible.
Gotcha. Sean, do you want to talk about short-term rentals and where we're at?
Yeah, so for many years, we did not have an adopted policy. And so last year, year and a half ago, we went through a public hearing process with the Planning Commission and City Council, and the decision ultimately was to not allow short-term rentals. And so that decision was made pretty recently. So unless the council provides direction later, that's going to be the policy into the future.
Quick question, follow-up. Is it 30 days and on is okay?
Correct.
Okay.
Over more than 30 days.
30 days or more.
Short-term definition is 30 days or less.
Okay, I see. All right.
And you could reach out to Sean.
Okay.
Or get numbers there, and he could help you
So
with it.
you have clients that want to host or own a short-term rental, is that, or they're looking for
So-
one to stay in?
Great question. So basically with increasing house prices and interest rates and all of that, a lot of them are looking at either ADUs or short-term rentals in order to kind of subsidize mortgages.
Sure,
So,
yeah, right.
so that's what they were looking at.
It's an
Love
income
the
stream.
ADUs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Great.
Okay, thank you
Thanks,
so
Jody,
much, all of
very
you.
much.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah, and like Corey said, you're welcome to reach out to Sean anytime if you have questions. All right, with that being said, we'll look for a motion to close the public portion of the meeting and a motion to go to closed session
Motion to close.
pursuant to
Second it.
52-40205. Pursuant to 52-40205. A motion by the discussion of litigation.
So moved.
I so move.
We have a motion by Councilman Garrett and a second by Councilman Carlson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, yes.
Wow.
Aye.
You got it. Okay, great.